Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission Board of Commissioners special meeting of Thursday, August 21, 25. We'll do our roll call in a second, but first, for members of the public that are here, if I could have you identify yourselves if you wish to speak or if you're just here to listen. I'm going to look at the screen and go across and try to find them. Sarah Miller. Sarah Miller.
Can they hear us?
Okay, and I'll come back to her.
Oh,
Yes. Sarah Miller, did you wish to speak this evening?
no.
No, okay, that is good. Thank you and welcome. Next would be Sean Lynchen.
Yes, I'm a member of the Montpelier Planning Commission, and I would like to speak
Okay,
when that comes up, please.
who else? Sorry.
Renee Carpenter was on.
Can you change that again? Okay, Renee Carpenter.
I'm
Denise
just
Montpelier.
going to listen in for a little while. I don't need to speak. Thank you.
Okay, thank you and welcome. At all the public ones? Is there anyone else from the public that I have not called on? No, I don't see any either. Okay, very good. Item the first, are there any adjustment, well, introductions, let's do it that way first. And do the roll call, I believe.
Okay, Janet Shatney.
Yep,
She did come in. Alice Farrell, Barry Town. I know Phil Chikini's not here, the alternate. Berlin, Robert Warnicki. Cabot, Brittany Butler. Callis, John Bravia.
Here.
Duxbury, David Wen. East Montpelier, Zoe Christensen.
Here.
And I see Clarice Cutler also signed on as the alternate. Facein, Andrew McNeilis. Middlesex, Ron Krauth.
Here.
I see Mitch is also logged in as the alternate.
Yep, I'm here. Thank you.
Montpelier, Mike Miller.
I'm here.
Moortown, David Stapleton.
Here.
Northfield, Royal Deleggy.
Present.
Orange, Lee Catania.
Present.
Plainfield, Paula Emery.
Present. All right, quiet.
Roxbury, Jerry D'Amico. Waitsfield, Alice Peel.
Here.
And I believe Don LaHaye is logged on as the alternate. Is that correct?
yeah, you was heard, yes.
I know Warren said they could not make it. Washington, Peter Carby.
Is present.
Waterbury, Doug Greason.
Here.
Williamstown, Richard Turner.
Here.
Woodbury, Michael Gray.
Here.
Worcester, Bill Aaron.
Here.
Excellent. Thank you all for coming for a special meeting. It's not our usual way of doing things.
We have another member of the public. who logged on.
Oh, we have another member?
Cameron.
Miss, okay, Leah Candland, would you identify yourself and do you wish to speak at this hearing, at this meeting? Leah Candland?
Oh, yes, sorry. I was having some problems unmuting myself. I'm
Okay.
Leah Candland. I'm a member of Montpelier's Planning Commission, and I'm
Okay.
not necessarily planning on speaking.
Okay, thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other public in the room.
Okay, the other public members in the room are Thomas Weiss from Montpelier,
Yes, Thomas Weiss from Montpelier.
and he will be speaking. Steve Whitaker from Montpelier. And he will be
Yes.
speaking. And is that Ben Doyle?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, and Ben Doyle, who also wishes to speak. Other introductions will be staff. Go ahead.
I'm Brian Boyd, Program Manager.
Nancy Chartrand, Office Manager.
Ruben McMartin, Senior Transport Planner.
Nikki?
Nikki Sabato, planner.
I think that's everybody.
We have Lori.
and Christian.
Oh,
Lorraine Banbury, planner.
sorry, Laura, I didn't see you.
No worries.
Okay,
And Kristen.
excellent.
We have Kristen.
And, oh yes, Christian from our French executive director.
Yep, Christian Meyer calling in.
And I'm sorry about the late hour for you, Christian. Because Christian is 6 hours ahead of us in France. So it's after midnight already. Are there any introductions? Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
I have a
Here.
question about the agenda. Just
Yes,
clarification. In our last meeting, we had on the agenda 2 separate items to vote on. They were separated. One was the Montpelier Municipal Town Plan, and the second item to vote on was the Montpelier planning process. And I'm not seeing it on this agenda as separated. But my question is, will we vote on each of those tonight and vote on them separately?
I can jump in. Yes, we'll be voting on 3 items tonight. We'll be voting to approve, well, considering entertaining motions to approve, motions to confirm the planning process, and finally a motion to endorse resolution 2303.
And that's new from the last meeting, correct?
That's 20.
it's the resolution in order to make it legal after the board, if they vote it positively.
And then my other question is that I'm assuming that comments on the planning process, that there'll be a separate comment time for each motion there. The voting on the municipal plan with comments and then a discussion, and then voting on the planning process with comments and discussion, both from the public and the board of directors. Was that correct?
That was not the intention of the agenda, no.
As those comments and stuff were handled at the last meeting. As far as the confirmation of the planning process, and also with the municipal plan review committee. Thoroughly investigated those, and notes in the packet also from staff. Agree that confirmation of planning process has been done. The resolution I will be reading later when we get there. And I suppose there could be some discussion on that from members of the board.
So we're not voting on the planning process tonight.
Yes, we will be voting on it. But I do not anticipate public comment.
Supposed to have.
The board will be discussing,
Okay, right.
obviously.
thank you.
Yep. I skipped ahead, staff introduction has already been done. Okay, for the public comment period, we have allocated on the Montpelier City Plan, very succinctly on the Montpelier City Plan, 5 minutes per person for public comment. We will be timing it, and I understand you'll be letting them know when they're getting close to their time. We have 4 people listed as speaking? Okay, and so first off, we'll let staff do their thing.
So I'm gonna read a letter from Mayor Jack McCullough, who is not able to attend the meeting this evening.
Can I just interrupt, Brian? I
Sure.
think this is public comment for items
This is-
not included on the agenda.
I agree.
Okay. Then I'm not gonna read yet.
Okay.
Fine.
It's public comment on items not on the agenda.
Right, and I have saw none.
Oh, yeah, I am on public comment,
Okay, yes,
not on the agenda.
Right.
And I mentioned this at your last hearing, that a public hearing is required by 24 BSA 4350. And in this circumstance, it claims to have been delegated to a subcommittee rather than the full commission. And today's meeting was warned only as a special meeting, not as a public hearing. This practice departs from historical precedent and may not satisfy the statutory requirements. Additionally, public participation in the plan's formation was curtailed, with recommendations from key committees excluded. In addition, under Title 24, Chapter 117, the RPC's review role is intended to be independent. This independence is compromised when the author of the municipal plan under review is also the municipality's appointed RPC commissioner, serves on the regional plan committee, and participates in shaping the review process. While recusal from the final vote is necessary, the dual role throughout the review inherently undermines both the perception and reality of objective arm's length review. So I'm taking issue with the fact that you can't legally approve the plan without a public hearing of the full commission. And I raised it before, and no lawyer or any legal advice. And I'm told by the chair that the executive committee didn't even discuss whether to hold a public hearing. It seems to be a unilateral decision by the executive director to schedule it as a public meeting and not a public hearing. And that is a fraught path.
thank you for your comments. The staff was,
We have another person who's logged on.
oh, okay, so A, yes, would A identify yourself, please?
Good afternoon. This is Aaron Kasicki. I'm a member of the Montpelier Planning Commission.
Okay, did you expect to test or speak during the public comment period?
No, I
Okay.
may, but I wasn't planning on it. So
Okay, thank you. Kind of messing with my agenda here, I'm sorry.
Did you want me to respond
I
briefly to
was
that
gonna say,
comment?
would staff like to respond to Mr. Whitaker's comments?
No, just to give the same response we gave at the last Board of Commissioners meeting, which is that there's nowhere in statute that says the hearing should be before the full Board of Commissioners. This has been our practice since 2018, when it was adopted both by the Municipal Plan Review Committee and then by the Executive Committee, and further approved again by the full Board of Commissioners as part of the rules of operating for each committee. This is how it is done throughout the state, with some regions holding their hearings directly in the municipalities led by staff. So there is a good deal of leeway and latitude on how that is applied.
Thank you. Now we can move on to public comment on the Montpelier City Plan.
Was it gonna be a staff introduction first?
Oh, there is staff introduction. Yes, I'm sorry. Now go ahead, Russ.
That's public comment. I didn't know if Christian wanted to introduce.
Oh. Did you
Sure.
wanna-
Yep. This will be me. I'll kick it off, and then I'll hand it off to Nikki, and then maybe have a little more follow up after that. But let me just take a step back for a second. Why are we here? As we discussed, we're looking at the three potential motions at the end of the meeting, which would be to approve the Montpelier City Plan 2025, confirm the planning process of the City of Montpelier, and to adopt the resolution documenting the Montpelier City Plan approval and planning process confirmation by CVRPC. We're going to structure the meeting, which is apparent from the agenda, as CVRPC providing an introduction to the materials provided in the packet. Before opening the meeting up for public comment, we purposely set this up to be more of a roundtable as opposed to a one-directional hearing, where attendees will be given 5 minutes at the beginning of the meeting to make points before Board of Commissioner deliberations and discussion, after which they'll be given an additional 2 minutes of time for follow-up comments. We also will take comments from the City of Montpelier Planning Commission. We have a letter from Mayor Jack McCullough to read onto the record. Public comment will be given in the order in which folks in the room have signed on to our public comment sheet, and as far as online participants, order will be given based on the order in which hands are risen. Following that, there'll be the board discussion and Q&A with staff and the municipality before, as I said, further public comment, where towards the end of the meeting, motions will be considered. Just a little history of where we are. Montpelier has adopted the plan that's being reviewed at this point. Staff's reviewed the plan. The Municipal Plan Review Committee has held a hearing and moved to recommend approval. The Board of Commissioners felt it did not have a reasonable amount of time to consider or receive written responses to the public testimony that was given at the hearing, and requested this special meeting. So that's where we are tonight. In your packet, you'll see the regional checklist of state requirements and state planning goals, and how the municipality and documentation of where staff have identified efforts from the municipality to meet those goals and conform with those regulations. We've also added a conformity assessment to identify how the plan is or is not, not conformity, rather compatibility assessment, to show how the plan is or is not, or supports the regional plan. And then finally, the public comments with staff research and responses to each point made. At this point, I think I'll turn it over to Nikki, who can get right into the regional checklist and the review process through this point.
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes. Hi, Nikki Sabato with CVRPC. I will provide a little bit of background, the process. The Montpelier City Council adopted the Montpelier City Plan 2025 on July 9th, 2025. The city preemptively requested regional approval of their plan and planning process to provide assurances that the plan, as currently drafted, contains all state planning elements and that the city is engaging in a planning process that will further state planning goals. The Montpelier City Plan 2025 is a complete update of the previous 2017 Montpelier Master Plan. This update focused on a web-based format with interactive maps and implementation charts for each supporting chapter. The implementation charts for each chapter outline specific actions and programs to achieve the city's goals. Staff reviewed the draft city plan for statutory requirements and completed the approval checklist using the municipal plan review tool. The tool addresses the statutory requirements of the state of Vermont for town plans, as cited in the Vermont Municipal and Regional Planning and Development Act, Title 24 VSA, Chapter 117. During the regional approval and confirmation process specified in subsection 4350 of the Act, the Regional Planning Commission is required to assess town plans and the process whereby they are developed according to the criteria of the Act. CVRPC staff reviewed the municipal plan for the following items: confirmation of the planning process under 24 VSA subsection 4350A, and approval of the municipal plan per 24 VSA 4350B. Staff finds the City of Montpelier to be engaged in a continuing planning process and is maintaining its efforts to provide funds for planning purposes. Staff finds the plan to be consistent with the state goals, to be compatible with the regional plan, to be compatible with approved plans of other municipalities, and finds the plan to contain all required elements under subsection 4382. The Municipal Plan Review Committee met on July 8th, 2025, and recommended regional approval of the plan.
Thank you, Nikki.
And I can continue on to discuss a little bit about the compatibility assessment. The request for this document came about from additional conversation with commissioners following the regularly scheduled July meeting. To develop this document, we looked at all the goals and policies included in the Central Vermont Regional Plan, condensed them a little bit because we started out with 47 pages. So we focused really down on the goals, but in the staff review, we dove into each of the policies as well. In looking through the document, well, first, just let me review the definition of compatible with. This is an acknowledgement that the plan under consideration will not significantly reduce the desired effect of the implementation of another plan. So the question is, would any piece of the plan being under considered have this effect on, say, the regional plan or one of the other municipalities within the region? Scanning through this document, I think a good way to attack it is kind of look at where there's the most text or differences in levels of support, compatibility, or silent on an issue. And if there are any specific questions there, again, staff can dive into more detail during the discussion later in this meeting. The other portion of the packet is public comment. Staff reviewed all the comments provided during the hearing, summarizing those comments that were made orally, and found no disqualifying elements. However, as with all planning work, there are opportunities for improvement, and I think many of those comments could help point any municipality towards a stronger process. So as you read through that document, you will see staff recommendations where an advisory comment could be included in the cover letter. This would not would not be included as part of the approval of the plan itself, but it gives the town a clear road signs into the kinds of work that we're looking at, and it gives us an opportunity as staff to have a starting off point when we get into our mid-cycle process assessment with each of the municipalities that we go through. Just high level, some of these advisory comments included things like including additional detail about time and priority, clearly linking reference materials, sharing data sets if they're available, and experimenting with alternative public outreach processes or assessing effectiveness of an online plan for future drafts. Seem to be opportunities to address common themes that were brought up. So with that, I think that's our staff introduction. I'll turn it back over to you, Peter, to open up the public comment.
Okay, I see one more name, Aaron Kosicki.
That was changed it from A to his full name.
Oh, okay. Thank you. No problem at all. Okay, I think we can open it up for public comment. I have 4 people on the list. 3 are here presently, and 1 is online. Okay, that's true. Brian wanted to start off with a letter from the Montpelier mayor.
So I'll take 2 on reading the letter. Actually, Mike's got a question.
Oh, okay, Mike Miller.
In earlier coordination, you were going to have me open with comments before the public comments. So
Please,
Montpelier's 5 minutes would be ahead. If you wanted that first, it's just an option.
Okay, I know you and Christian had discussions. I was not involved in that discussion. So I will.
Let's just, if I can jump back in, let's include Mike and planning commission members and member representatives on Montpelier as just all part of the public comment period. We didn't make an adjustment to the agenda earlier to include, say, a subsection for Montpelier, so I think it would be cleaner to stay consistent across all participants.
All
Okay.
right, so just put me on the list to speak at some point and let me know.
I
Thanks,
will do
Mike.
that.
It seems that Mike should be speaking first because he's the drafter of the plan and most knowledgeable from the municipal perspective. I would suggest he be given first priority.
I'm not sure. We did have as I said, Mike and Christian had this discussion on it. I wasn't aware that Mike was going to be speaking. But
that would allow public comment to be more informed. Is my suggestion. He's going to be, Mike would probably likely bring information to the table, and it would be unfortunate if that came after the fact and then the comment was not necessarily as responsive. That's all.
yeah, okay. We'll do it that way then. You make a good point there, John. So Mike, if you want to kick it off.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, board. As an introduction to the Montpelier City Plan, I want to say that this was a long, involved process that resulted in a new innovative plan design and a new, more strategic, innovative implementation plan. It is intended to be viewed as a web-based document, but it's also a downloadable and printable document as well. So it does work for anyone depending on how you want to view it. The web-based plan is a first of its kind in Vermont, and we hope it will be improved over the years to come to take advantage of more interactive features of Esri Story Map. That's the program it was built in. This, we hope, will make a plan that's a better communication tool with the public, both giving information and recording feedback. Our implementation plan is already being integrated into our annual budget and council strategic plan. And there are more than 30 implementation boards, which include aspirations, goals, and the strategies to achieve them. The quality of this plan has resulted in the document being awarded the Vermont Planners Association Plan of the Year for 2025 already. This plan included many opportunities for the public to interact. We had tables at the farmers market. We had one at the town meeting day. We had 11 public input sessions during 2024 when the final drafts were being reviewed. There was a public hearing at the Planning Commission and at least 3 hearings at the council. We also received written testimony. It appeared in the newspapers and was well publicized. We heard many differing viewpoints, and the Planning Commission and council recorded them on matrices. And if we have a few minutes, I'll show you what those look like, just so you understand how completely we did record these comments. Council eventually decided which comments and suggestions would be accepted and considered. So a lot of times it's considered my plan. It's not my plan. It's been the Planning Commission's plan, it's City Council's plan. They voted to make the amendments and changes that you see in it. Tonight, though, is about regional approval. Not whether you as commissioners agree with our format or our process or our policies, except to the extent that they impact conformance with the regional plan and the neighboring communities, surrounding communities. This has been the most thoroughly reviewed and picked through document. It's been under the microscope, and the city staff, RPC staff, and regional review subcommittee found this plan to meet statutory requirements. Many of the comments you'll hear tonight were presented to the Planning Commission, council, or both. The boards and commissions, made the decision not to make these changes. Other comments may have no bearing on the regional approval at all. All of you will need plans approved in the future, and the statutes are not different for us because we are a city. I ask you to review the materials presented by the staff and reviewed by the committee. And this plan meets the state requirements and deserves regional approval. When we get to the commissioner questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And if we have a second, and I can share the screen, I just wanted to go and show the board what we talk about when we have the matrix of comments.
You have 2 minutes left.
Okay. I won't take more than another 30, 45 seconds. So what you see here is just one of the many, we call them matrices. They're just Excel tables. And on the left, we recorded what were public comments, what were the staff comments, and on the right, what were the decisions that were made by the boards. We very seriously took public input. And we didn't just listen to people, we actually noted what were the comments. Recommendation in 18 to make both the storyboards and implementation plans accessible in PDF format. The staff comment agreed that this, if this could be done, it would be beneficial. And then you can see on the right, it was done. It was the decision of the board to do it, and we did it. So this goes on for 23 pages of these, and this was just the planning commission. There's also one of these for the city council, and there were others that were built earlier in the process as we were going through and just reviewing early drafts. So I just want, when we hear that, oh, there's no public input, there was extensive public input, and we recorded it and we reviewed it and we made determinations, sometimes in favor of what they were saying. We agreed with them. That's a good idea. And in some cases, the board felt that it was not appropriate. So I just wanted to put that out there for everybody, that this has had a large process, and we're open to hearing what questions the commissioners have for me, and I'll take them later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next on public comment, we have Thomas Weiss from Montpelier.
Sorry.
Oh, that's right. Let me answer one more. Poor Brian, he's tried 3 times to read this.
Letter from the mayor, take 4. So again, this is a letter that we received from Mayor McCullough, who is not able to attend the meeting this evening. I'm writing to urge you to confirm Montpelier's proposed city plan. The plan is the product of many hours of engagement by our city planning professionals, our planning commission, multiple volunteer committees, extensive hearings before the planning commission and the city council, and a final vote of the city council. It represents the considered opinion of the city council that the plan sets forth guidelines and directions for the city's development throughout the life of the plan. During our public hearings and meetings, the council heard and considered all of the comments that have been presented to you and many more. We adopted in whole or in part many of the comments we heard, but others were considered and rejected. This is the nature of the democratic process. The public is entitled and encouraged to participate in the formulation of the plan and to comment on the drafts as they are prepared. But the ultimate decision on the form and content of the plan is the responsibility of the council. It was the vote of the council to adopt the proposed plan. The meeting packet before you amply demonstrates that the plan before you satisfies all statutory requirements, both for content and process. After years of drafting, public consultation, and development, the plan was first presented to the city council on May 21st. In total, we held 3 public hearings, accepted public comment at all of them, including many comments that were repeated at more than one hearing, and accepted written comments. After our 3rd public hearing, we were presented with a matrix setting forth all the comments and the responses from city staff. The council reviewed and voted on the comments and then voted to adopt the plan as a whole. It is clear that there are members of the public who would prefer some formulations or policy choices that were not supported by the council, but those decisions are vested in the council once all public comments have been heard. The fact that some members of the plan would have made different choices is not a basis for the rejection of the plan. Our work of developing our new city plan is done. I ask you to approve it as proposed. Thank you, Mayor Jack McCullough.
Thank you.
What was the date of that?
Today.
Is today's date. Thomas Weiss, we have 5 minutes.
Thank you. I'm Thomas Weiss. Please allow me to introduce myself, since most of you are not familiar with me. I'm a resident of Montpelier who has been participating in Montpelier zoning and planning amendments as a member of the public. I'm also participating at the Land Use Review Board as it works to define and implement its duties, including regional plan review and the tier system. I'm a civil engineer with experience in planning and reviewing plans and contracts for compliance with the appropriate regulations and statutes. I bring that experience to my review of Montpelier's city plan. And thank you, commissioners, for delaying your decision on the city's plan so that staff could evaluate the comments received at the hearing and meetings on July 8th, both the Municipal Plan Review Committee and of the full commission. I commented to the committee and spoke to you on July 8th. Some of my comments and the staff's responses are on pages 85 through 89 of the meeting packet. And I will respond to two of the issues that I raised then tonight in my comments. The first issue is that one of my comments was not addressed at all. One of my last comments was, where appropriate, the plan is to be based on inventory studies and analyses of current trends. I didn't find any solid information and projections in the plan. I did not find that the review tool has shown where the plan provides this information and projections. And I cannot believe it is never appropriate to provide the data suggested by this subdivision of the statute. Population characteristics, housing needs by amount and type, patterns and rates of growth of the land use classifications, and the ability of the city to finance and provide public facilities and services. I find the lack of response to be troublesome. I think it's just as troublesome that there's a lack of response as that there was no solid information and analyses as required by the statute in the city plan. The second point I would like to discuss is lack of cost estimates and methods of financing. The utility and facility plan and the recommended program for implementation are required to indicate costs and method of financing to meet future needs. I don't find the information. I don't find that the review tool has shown where the plan provides the information. And each strategy, I do acknowledge, has a cost level of high, medium, or low. However, the plan has no information on what each cost level means. So readers of the plan have no idea of the potential cost of this plan or the method of financing, whether it's taxes, bonds, grants, or whatever. The staff did respond, but one of the last parts is relying on the capital investment plan. They mentioned that it's an essential part of the financing the future needs, and I emphasize part because it's not the entirety of the, including the non-capital items. So I find that the staff response is inappropriate. The city's annual budget is about $12 million, and without knowing the range of each cost level, one has no idea how much of the plan actually can be achieved. The capital improvement plan, as I pointed out, is not a complete potential cost because it does not provide cost information on the non-capital portions of the program. And the present capital improvement plan only extends through the middle of 2028, and that seems short to me. So those are my comments. I thank you for allowing me the time to talk about these. And I think that these are serious omissions in the city plan.
Thank you. Thank you, Thomas. Steve Whitaker?
Yep, Steve Whitaker, Montpelier. I think what these detailed comments are bringing forth is we've got dysfunction both in our planning department and commission and in the regional planning commission review process. And that's something to take very seriously. I'm going to read this memo, a standalone analysis of why Montpelier City Plan should not be approved at this time. It integrates detailed findings from prior review with newly identified issues ordered by priority to the statutory purview of the Regional Planning Commission. The goal is to ensure alignment with the goals of the regional plan, statutory compatibility requirements, and regional transportation impacts, while also addressing environmental and governance concerns under Act 181 and the Land Use Review Board framework. The regional plan currently designates the Country Club Road property as rural. This goes right to the heart of, is the Montpelier plan consistent and compatible with the regional plan? It is not, because the existing adopted regional plan designates the Country Club Road as rural. Under 24 VSA 4350 and 4348A, any municipal plan must be evaluated for consistency with the goals of the regional plan, including applying the statutory 4-part compatibility test. The test examines 1, land use designation alignment, 2, impacts on critical resources, 3, infrastructure capacity, and 4, potential for mitigation. The Montpelier plan does not demonstrate such an analysis for Country Club Road. Given the rural classification, any proposed urban scale development requires clear demonstration of compatibility or a regional plan amendment before the plan can be found consistent or compatible. The CCR site is accessed via a steep road exceeding 15% grade in sections, posing winter safety concerns. Its intersection with Route 2 lies within a few hundred feet of Gallison Hill Road. State highway standards generally prohibit too closely spaced signals due to safety and congestion. Furthermore, the CCR Route US 2 intersection is within approximately 50 feet of a railroad siding at a higher elevation. Federal highway transportation standards require adequate queue clearance distances from rail crossings, typically 100 to 200 feet for higher volumes. This proximity creates a potential fatal flaw for expanded traffic volumes, as queue spillback onto tracks cannot be mitigated without major redesign beyond Montpelier's capital scope. No corridor level traffic impact study addresses these constraints: level of service, crash history, or peak hour school traffic from U32. East Montpelier's municipal plan identifies Town Hill Gallison Hill Road intersection as hazardous and prioritizes improvements. CCR development would increase traffic throughout this corridor, including school buses to U32. I'm gonna protest the 5-minute. This is required to be a public hearing, and you've only got 5 people. So it's likely to be litigated if you don't hold a public hearing. You can't approve the plan without a public hearing, no matter what Christian said. Christian's not a lawyer. I'm gonna continue. The city plan vaguely refers to continue to implement the actionable plan prepared by White and Burke for the Country Club Road, but it does not incorporate that plan by reference. The version now posted on the city's website has been materially altered from the consultant's original work. With phase 2, the section intended to deliver an integrated master plan covering civic facilities, recreation, housing, infrastructure, capital budget, growth center compliance, removed entirely. From the planning director's own memo of May 25, the due diligence steps in chapter 10 of that document are recommended to consider. The council's already adjusted that process to forego the second round of master plan development to maintain maximum flexibility for developers. The city will pursue growth center approval and tax increment finance before moving to the request for proposals. And even that has changed. The city decided last week not to pursue the growth center. The Country Club Road Subcommittee likewise emphasizes flexibility over concrete planning. Quote, the following goals should guide future planning. These admissions confirm that Montpelier's adopted city plan has no binding integrated framework for Country Club Road. Under 24 VSA 4348A and 4350, the RPC is tasked with ensuring municipal plans are complete, compatible, and consistent with regional goals. Here, the city's plan, most consequential growth area, is governed only by a non-adopted altered concept document, an intentional procedural choice that allows developer-driven proposals.
Your 5 minutes are up, Mr. Whitaker. Your 5 minutes are up, Mr. Whitaker. No, I'm gonna continue telling you your 5 minutes are up. 5 minutes are up. And you're staying. Thank you. As chair of the commission, your 5 minutes are up. I only had a half a page. I'll use it. I'm sorry, you can use it later at the 2 minutes. But you heard my protest about the public hearing. I heard your protest. It has been noted.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to ask that staff not direct the public to shut up or cease speaking, that it's the job of the chair.
Right.
Please.
I'm keeping the time, John.
John,
I'm
you
keeping
John,
you time.
Brian, then you inform the chair and you let him do his job, all right? When you're elected to this board, then you can assert authority. You have no authority. Thank you.
I have to agree with that. It's the role of the chair, and I support Peter in his decision here.
The next person on the list is Ben Doyle from Montpelier. You have 5 minutes.
Hi, my name's Ben Doyle. I live here in Montpelier. I'm a member of the city council. In my work, I work for the Preservation Trust of Vermont. And previous to that, I was the Assistant State Director of USDA Rural Development. So I have about a 20-year career in community and economic development. I just want to start by thanking you for your leadership. I know this is not easy work, and it's a lot of time. But I also know from my work and from my time here in Montpelier how important planning is. I want to say that I strongly support this city plan. You know, the city council did vote to approve it. And you know, there was an active participation process. I went to planning commission meeting, different public hearings, saw plenty of opportunity for people to comment on the plan. You know, I think it's fair to say that the critics of this plan are full of passionate intensity and certainly respect their right to have those opinions. But it's also important that not subvert the democratic process. We have a city council that was elected by the citizens of Montpelier, and we reviewed the plan, took public comment on the plan, responded to comments on the plan, and then voted to approve the plan. I would say that our planning staff has said that the plan is compatible. Your staff has said that the plan is compatible. The plan won the Vermont Planners Association of the Year plan. You know, so I guess I would just say in closing, this is really important. I know you know that, but this is really important for the city of Montpelier. This city is hurting as a result of COVID, the flood, the loss of state workers. We need to move forward in a positive, optimistic way. I believe that this plan allows us to do that, which is why I voted to approve it and why I'm asking you to support it. I look forward to being a partner with the Regional Planning Commission and to achieving the aspirations of this goal. And, you know, I ask you really to approve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No one else had signed up. Oh, I take it back. Sean Linclair.
So Sean, my name is Sean Linehan, member of the Montpelier Planning Commission. And I also wanted to speak in support of the city plan. Just reiterate some of the points from Mike and Ben and the mayor that this plan had robust public input. It went through rigorous debate in front of city council. And I'd like to thank whoever in the Regional Planning Commission put together this document to go along with tonight's meeting, which mirrors the assessments from our own planning staff in Montpelier and reviewed by planning commissioners that this plan does adhere to statute. So again, I would urge you to approve, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Time now for discussion amongst the board.
Hi, may I speak? I don't have a video option at the moment.
Yes, Zoe.
I'd like to speak to what was referred to only as passionate intensity, as a feeling of those of us who disagree with this plan. I would like to foremostly disagree that I'd like to disagree that I disagree with a plan based on only feelings and emotion of passionate intensity. And because I disagree entirely based on statistics and data. I would argue that those who vehemently support the plan based on emotion, passionate, intense emotion in favor of. I haven't seen any evidence to support that this proposed development would do anything to actually help Vermont escape the housing crisis based on the economic brackets and salaries of the essential workers that the Vermont Department of Labor says that Vermont hurts for the most. As an East Montpelier resident and someone who represents East Montpelier, my concerns for the traffic problems have not been addressed at all. No one has mentioned that, for example, if me or my family members have to get to CVMC Medical Center, this is really the only route that we can get to the hospital and the emergency room from. And increased traffic would definitely be a problem. I haven't seen that addressed. I haven't seen any. I just basically I take offense that someone would label my disagreement as an emotional response only because I have all the statistics and data available from the Vermont Department of Labor, and the most recent Vermont Housing Finance Agency report would say otherwise, that it's very factual and objective.
Thank you, sir. Alice Peel? You're muted, Alice.
Got it. Okay. I'm going to start my comments here by saying I'm not questioning the dedication of anyone's work, the amount of time it takes to do this kind of work. I understand Mr. Tom Weiss's comment about having the correct data to look at trends. We went through this on the Waitsfield Town Plan, where there was a call to throw around numbers on population growth that we pushed back on and would only do the population trend and growth on work that we did looking at trends in the census data. I don't doubt anybody's dedication here. We all do this as volunteers, but a simple thing, this document, this plan, it can't be voted on the way it is on the website now or in the downloadable document. The Montpelier City Council voted not to proceed with the Growth Center expansion application to ACCD. If you read a town plan and its conformance, yeah, it does all that. But it also has to have a narrative and tell a story. And throughout this document, the story is told through the eyes of the community, of the Growth Center expansion application. That needs to be reworked. You can't vote on this plan until that's corrected, because that's no longer the narrative. The narrative now is that the city council decided to wait for the Tier 1A designation to take place, which going to LURB meetings, I agree that that's to wait for. The benefits are the same. There's no difference. To say to me, oh my God, it's going to take forever and it's more work to do this. Well, the Waitsfield Town Plan rewrite for what we needed to do took more like 1.5 years more than we thought it was. And we kept working for 1.5 years and then had to go back and work 3 months more. There's such a thing as applying for an extension also, which we did for the work on our current regional plan. We're not there yet on our regional plan. We're not there yet on our land use mapping. And the other thing in here is I see statements of we anticipate that our land use maps will be compatible and work with the new regional land use maps. Well, they just might, but I can't vote yes, no on a maybe or a possibility. So my feeling is the document has to be edited and fixed and the narrative changed now that the city council removed excuse me, removed applying for the growth center. That goal, that application is still a goals highlighted in the housing chapter and in the land use chapters. It's either no or don't vote on it till it's changed. Come back with a plan we can vote on.
Thank you, Alice. Are there other comments from the board?
John Brabant has his hand raised.
He does?
Yes.
Okay,
I could see
yep,
it on-
sorry, John.
That's
It
okay,
was
Peter.
covered up. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Gets tough with our older aging eyes, right?
No, it was covered
look
up.
at screens. Yeah, I'm like beating a dead horse on this, at least to some of the staff I've spoken with. I met with you, Peter, as chair, and Christian Meyer in July about my concerns. Not overall. I mean, I think most of the plan seems to be pretty well done. I want to first say that. I'm not here to poop all over it, and Mike and the staff's hard work and the volunteers' hard work in Montpelier. But there are problems with the traffic, and for everyone in the audience, and I mean the commissioners who will be voting tonight, our role is not to just approve town plans. Otherwise, there's no reason for us. There's no reason for an overarching regional plan if these plans, these municipal plans, are not judged against the regional plan as the standard. In addition, our role is to look out for the collection of town, the collective, that is the region. All of our towns, there's huge potential for conflict, right? And so to mediate those conflicts, we have a regional planning commission. The idea is to cooperatively plan, work together on a plan and an approach for development. It's about development, folks, which includes traffic and transportation and all that, and that kind of infrastructure. And we're supposed to ensure that we put together a program where everyone plays nice together in the sandbox, and that burdens are not shifted from one municipality to another. This was a problem in our past, continues to be, with sewage plants dumping in the rivers and allowing their sewage to go down to the next town downstream, which is also a peeve of mine. Not for discussion tonight, but our role is to evaluate the Montpelier plan in this instance against a regional plan and any potential negative consequences of the implementation of the plan. That plan is very clear that on the Country Club Road development, which will be, pick a number, 400, 500, 600 units, and then a daycare, and then a recreational facility, zillions of cars, hundreds and hundreds of trips a day spilling out of one road. Yes, there's a possibility of another road, but that's not in the plan. The plan is one entrance and exit. It exits and enters right beyond the roundabout, which was a big investment by the state and a big burden building. And it disrupted traffic. It was painful. It's going to result in a dumping of traffic in an area that's already backing up down the Tractor Supply across to Berlin, across the river. And it's going to will result in people trying to get around that snarled traffic coming out of this development and going up Gallison Hill Road. It's what I would do. Our staff person, unfortunately, we don't all have the same set of facts. Christian Meyer didn't tell you. He only told me hours ago that, wow, Montpelier or someone did some kind of cursory evaluation based on 144 trips. And that would result in the need for a traffic light. Does anybody out there who's voting tonight know that? What's the implications of that traffic light on that already overburdened intersection? Does anybody know what they're voting on tonight? There's no traffic study that's been formally done. This is our job. We require a traffic study. What has caused this confusion is this unique situation. Never before, at least in this region, have we had a municipality that has this other hat. It's a developer. It spent $2 million buying his property to develop. It's clear. Nothing wrong with that. But now we got the developer who's both the self-regulator, who's going to regulate the zoning, who's going to write the rules for themselves. 3 developers considered this property. I spoke with 2 of them, and they walked away because it wasn't developable because of the traffic issues. So Montpelier buys it, and we're supposed to think there's no issue anymore. Our staff, I've looked, sorry, Nikki, you didn't address it. You said, well, Montpelier can waive through their DRB process the need for a secondary road. And that has nothing to do with regional impact. I'm going to ask folks, please do not vote for this plan. It is not ripe. We need to look out for our region. Zoe Christensen brought up, you're not going to be able to get to the hospital. She's absolutely right. It's already difficult. And we're going to add to the problem. We need to protect our sister communities. We got to make sure one community doesn't burden the other unduly. And there's a way to do this, and this is not the right way to do this. Please vote no until this development plan is either formally removed from the plan. By the way, the city council voting to remove it last week, did you folks know that? It has no bearing on what we're looking at. We are only tasked with looking at the plan language, and that's all that matters. Speculation of what ifs and what might happen if the politics shift or whatever, that's not what we're voting on. We're voting on the actual plan language. And lastly, as Steve Whitaker brought up, and I looked at it too, the area that's designated for high density development by Montpelier is designated as rural ag. It's incompatible. It's not compatible. So despite what has been asserted by our staff reviewers, I don't know why they would do that, but it's what happened. Maybe an oversight. I'm going to give them that leeway. It's not compatible. They're in conflict. And if that's compatible, then why are we mapping? Why are we going through this exercise? And if we're not going to be the check on development spilling over into neighboring communities, then we don't have a role. We really don't need to exist. Let's just get rid of the Regional Planning Commission. Let's go to the legislature and get rid of it, because we're not doing our job here if we vote for this tonight. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Mike Miller? Certainly does. He's a commissioner.
He's got to recuse himself.
He's a commissioner. He can recuse himself on the vote. He certainly is allowed to express his opinion. Thank you, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to go and respond to a couple of the comments. So the Country Club Road is just one piece of this city plan, and the fact that the growth center has been removed is, I mean, this is true for anybody's plans out there. So if you decided to put in your plans are aspirational. And in this case, the growth center we're not changing a goal. They haven't changed what they're trying to do. The growth center is a strategy for accomplishing a goal, and they've decided not to use that strategy. The goals have remained the same to develop these areas. And as a region, we have housing needs, significant housing needs. And according to the housing assessments at ACCD, Washington County has a need by 2030, so 5 years, 2,500 to 3,800 housing units are needed in order to meet the housing demand. We can build these in and around Montpelier, or we could build them in Williamstown and have people drive through your communities to get to Montpelier. The traffic is still going to come if we build these housing units. Building them in walkable, bikeable locations or areas that are close to Montpelier's downtown. We are a job center. We have more jobs in Montpelier than we have people. There are 9,000 jobs in Montpelier and only 8,000 people, and only 2,500 of them work doing those jobs. So there's a lot of people that commute in. Having more housing to meet our housing demand close to the downtown is what we need and what you all need to avoid pressure on your rural countrysides. Because if we don't build them in Berry City and we don't build them in Montpelier, they're going to be, the pressure is going to be there. The prices are going to continue to rise. So we, as a city council, our housing committees, planning commission have stepped up to take the mantle and say, we are going to do our part to solve this problem. And to that end, our goal is to have 600 housing units during the life of this plan. That's not 600 housing units at Country Club Road. Country Club Road is only anticipated to have a portion of those. We do have requirements and will have requirements. We have engineered staff. In fact, at next week's city council meeting, there will be a conversation to discuss the improvements on Country Club Road and the intersection at Country Club Road, and to change the grade of the road as it goes up to Country Club Road. So we know these things, we are addressing these things, and we are continuing to move this forward. Traffic impact statements come in when you have a project. It's wildly variable to, whether it's senior housing or regular housing. What's the mix of housing types? How many bedrooms? It affects the traffic study. So you don't do a full traffic assessment at the preliminary stage. You do a preliminary assessment, which John referred to. There is a preliminary assessment. It was done 2 years ago. When we purchased the property, we hired a consulting firm, an engineering firm, to analyze this site and to identify the environmental issues and to identify what were the barriers. Is this place developable, and to what extent? And the number of 144 is what they said was you could build 144 units until, and at that point, you would need to make changes at the intersection. That could be a street light, that could be something else. It could change if there's a through road. If there's a through road, the dynamics change again. So we need to have the full picture before we can do the full traffic analysis. And we have professional staff. All of our projects that require traffic impact studies, those go to our traffic engineer, those go to Kurt, and he has to analyze them. And any project that generates 75 trips has to go and have a traffic impact study. This project will have a traffic impact study. When there is a project to study and know, is there a through road or is there not a through road? We have, the planning department has fully acknowledged to city council that if there is not a secondary access, it will likely be a limiting factor on the amount of development that could occur at this site, which is why we are trying to work cooperatively with the folks at Sabins Pasture to have a combined or coordinated project where these can work together. So I did want to go through and talk about the traffic impact studies. We hear a lot about traffic impacts, and at the end of the day, you're talking about a road that may have 14,000, 15,000 trips a day. And the impact of 300 new housing units would be relatively small. I mean, you're talking a couple hundred more trips generated per day. It always sounds like a lot when you're putting these things in, but these are major roadways that already are designed to handle large amounts of traffic. We would not hurt our own community by designing and building a project that would not function. The council would not be approving of that, and the development review board will not be approving of that. And then I guess the last thing was just having something that comes out, the fact that we aren't doing the growth center, that's being removed, that doesn't require the plan to be amended. That wouldn't happen, if you put in your plan that we should look at refurbishing a historic building, and 2 years after you adopt the plan, it burns down. That doesn't mean you have to readopt your plan to go through and say, well, that's not there anymore. I guess we'll have to readopt the plan because we can't do that project. No, these are aspirational documents. What are we trying to do and how are we going to get there? These designations, one of the key reasons we aren't a growth center right now was because we did not say in our 2017 plan, we want to expand the growth center into Country Club Road. If you don't actually have it in your plan, it's not even an option. So you have to say we're going to do it. And then if you get there, you can decide not to. But if you don't say you plan on it, then it's not an option. If that makes sense. You have to go in and say, these are all the areas we plan to have in the growth center. And then we may later on opt not to have it, because that's the requirement. If it's not in there, and that's why we aren't a growth center right now, is because our 2017 plan didn't. So we put it in here now. The timing of that is part of the reason why we're not doing the growth center. It's being phased out. We have to have an application in by September, and I'm short-staffed, and it didn't seem to make sense with the new programs that are coming forward. And you're going to have opportunities to vote when these come up as either designations or as projects. It'll come through the project review committee, or it's going to come through the designations process. You're going to get a say on it. But at this point, your decision is, does the plan meet the requirements? And we still argue that it does meet those requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Zoe?
The larger picture has been brought up a bunch of times, and I guess the reiteration of the need for these units based on one survey's recommended 800 new units, and I think Mike said in the county. I could be wrong. I'm not remembering exactly, because based on the statistics available to me after the most recent Vermont Housing Finance Agency report came out, the cost of the unit matters much more than the number of units, because currently Washington County has more than enough homes for a certain income bracket. That is, every income bracket above a low income bracket that can only afford affordable housing. There are a lot of I see a lot of holes in terms of the goals for this new development, in terms of transportation, in terms of affordability. Mike mentioned that we need more workers in Montpelier. That's absolutely true. But has anyone looked into the salaries of these workers? What kind of workers? How much money do these workers make? What can they actually afford? Because if you look at the salaries, the average salaries of the workers that the Vermont Department of Labor says that Vermont isn't sorely the most in need of, almost all these people could not afford something that's brand new. It would be a very specific type of unit with public, like readily available public transportation. And we don't really need more houses above this level of income. Furthermore, I wasn't able to read the entire plan thoroughly, so perhaps this has been addressed immaculately. I admit I don't know, but if we don't look at Airbnb and other factors, and again, the greater picture, hand in hand with more growth centers and development, we're never going to solve the problem that's before us. Short-term rentals are not going away, and they're definitely nothing here. But I think that it's time for us to stop pretending like they're not going to have an impact and they're not already having an impact. So I would urge people to at least give a little bit more time. I don't think there's any need to rush this plan. I think a lot more could be done to refine it before we push it through.
Thank you, Zoe. Alice Peel?
Yeah, first I want to answer something Mike said about Montpelier solving the problems for the rest of us towns. Sorry, I don't buy that at all. Montpelier is not doing this growth in Montpelier is not going to solve the Mad River Valley's problems. Mad River Valley is going through the same thing of, wow, we need a ton more houses and building and affordable housing. And boy, we got to house all these workers that we need to make sure that all the businesses here are staffed. We got to make sure that we've got enough accommodations for people that are coming skiing and vacationing and now biking. You know, Montpelier is not going to solve every town's problem. Every town is going to be different. Every town is going to go in there and talk more about things about preserving ag-res soils, which I see as a problem in this Montpelier town plan. I'm not seeing enough attention paid to that. The traffic issue, yeah, that's a big one. And that's a significant regional impact, I believe, on Berlin, East and East Montpelier. Also, what hasn't happened yet is the Land Use Review Board's Tier 3 overlay. That is going to affect the building and the types of building and the environmental issues in many areas, especially in forested areas. There are going to be forest use laws that are going to go in. The traffic study thing, yeah, I mean, come on, there's going to be recreation areas, there's going to be a daycare center, there's going to be school buses. So it's going to be a lot more than the houses there adding traffic to the community. But every municipality has a unique problem. Every municipality has a certain area of land that they can give to development. Enough area for infill. There's the other big word. But no, not this plan is conceptual. I read the full study and the work that was done on it, and I'm impressed. I think it was done well, but it's not ready for prime time yet. Planning process is a good one, but it's not complete yet. You know, that's sort of my thoughts.
Thank you, Alice.
Oh, wait,
Chris?
one more.
Oh.
That, and the thing is that there is a goal in the housing chapter, which is HO.7, which continues, it says, and this one is also in the land use one. It says, continued to participate in the Growth Center program and expand the district as appropriate. And it goes on, if you're expanding in the Growth Center program, that's the ACC Growth Center designation. That needs to be changed if you're not going for that now.
Thank you, Alice. Christian?
Mike is next, Mr. Chair.
I think Mike was next, and I don't want to jump in if there's other commissioners who still have points they'd like to make.
Okay, Mike?
So yeah, just working backwards, the last comment, I mean, the city already has a growth center. So the description of continue to participate in the growth center program and expand district as appropriate. That's exactly what we're doing. If it's appropriate to expand the district, we will. We already have a growth center, and that will continue. So it doesn't make sense that we need to remove expand as appropriate if we decide it's not appropriate. And we weren't saying that Montpelier's gonna be solving everyone's problem. We were just saying we have recognized the need and are stepping up to do our part. We're looking to do 600 of those units. There's 3,000 that the state says we need. So there's still 2,400 for everybody else to go and pick which ones and how many you want to do. We're just saying we're going to try to do our part and to look at what we can do to bring more housing to the region and to bring more housing to Montpelier. On the point Zoe made on affordable housing, that's why the city purchased this property, is because we the intention of this is that if it's left to just developers to come in and do things, there's no requirement that we can have to make them do a certain amount of affordable housing. And by owning the property, we can sign contracts with developers with requirements that say you need to make sure a certain percentage of them are affordable. And by us giving the land for $1, remember, in order to make a project affordable, it's got to pencil out. It's got to meet the pencil. And so by building the infrastructure for them, selling them the land for $1, we can then have conditions that say, we expect you to do this, this, and this on your end, and make sure that you are providing for all incomes, low, moderate, and if there's some high-end units, we need everything. We need all the housing. So that's our interest. That's why the city purchased this property, was yes for recreation for a piece, and we've got that, but also yes for housing. And we want to find out how to make it affordable, but it's really difficult to make it affordable if a developer just comes in and says, we're building 4,000 square foot houses. Those just can't be affordable. But if we own it, we can say, you can't build those. You have to build these. These are more affordable. And that's the reason. And the design of this, the reason for the through roads that are being proposed to Barry and to East State Street, are to make public transportation more efficient. If you look at the economic development plan that's in this document, it talks about two sides. It talks about how to help businesses, but it also has a significant piece of talking about how do we help everybody participate in the process. And we identified the 3 major barriers to participation in the workforce as affordable housing, childcare, and public transportation. People need to have all 3 pieces if they're going to be able to participate in the labor force. And we have plans for each one of those pieces. So we are not overlooking anybody. This plan was housing for all. It's economic development for all. And, we're trying. We've got ideas. Are these the right ideas? These, those could be debated, but city council has looked at this and the planning commission has looked at this, and we've said, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to see if these work. But Montpelier is Montpelier for everybody, and that's the plan. And we're going to make sure that we respect the environment. We've already done the environmental assessment for Country Club Road. We've identified the areas that are off limits for development, already been identified. And they're the preliminary traffic assessments, and we will do future traffic assessments, and we'll eventually get all the pieces put together to make a project that works and is affordable.
Thanks, Mike. Before we continue on, this is a very important decision we have to make tonight. We've heard from John, we've heard repeatedly from Alice, Mike, and Zoe. Are there other members of the board that have feelings on this? We would love to hear from them. In the interim, I'll call on Christian next.
Sure. Thanks, Peter. Let me know, just cut me off if there's too much background noise. The night cruising started vacuuming the lobby in which I'm sitting. So I just wanted to, I think, reiterate some of the points that maybe have been made, and fill in some other details where they would be beneficial. Zoe brought up the statistics. I think that the plan is strong on data, especially getting to the housing section, one I was looking at most recently. Your point about short-term rentals is great, and how we need to incorporate that into our planning. It's a level of detail that hasn't been required yet. Is it part of the situation? Sure. And is a good point, but again, has not been identified as a requirement that we're considering tonight. There a couple times I heard there's no need to rush. Well, there's a little bit of a reason to rush. We need to take action on this plan within 60 days or 2 months. I forget how statute is written, of the last public hearing. We're coming up on that towards the end of this month. And at that time, we need to provide, if we haven't approved the plan, we need to provide a reason to the municipality why not. So there is a clock. It's not a hard clock. It doesn't invalidate the plan's adoption if we don't make that line, but under statute, we do have the 60-day clock that started running. So we're talking, I think Mike has spoken well to the question of whether or not the changing of the goal of pursue, or the changing of the strategy to pursue a growth center invalidates the plan in any way. That, I think that's a really high bar if we're going to start talking in those terms. State is often changing programs. In this case, the state created the CHIP program, 9 days before the town adopted their plan. And I know that CHIP program, that is to say that project-based TIF program, strongly influenced the council's decision to change directions there. So state statutes are changing, incentives are changing. I think it's a hard bar to ask municipalities to be rewriting plans and going through that 6-month process every time something might be no longer be valid for external exogenous factors. There is not an option to extend a municipal plan. We pursued that at the region, and that is why we went the readoption path, because there is no extension option. Alice also stated that the plan is conceptual. This is usually what we expect out of a municipal plan. I think Mike has kind of laid out his understanding of the process, and I tend to agree that you start with the concept and then you build off that concept to do the master planning work, and it's through doing that master planning work that you come up with the specific mix of housing that allows you to know exactly how many average daily trips you're going to be creating at a given intersection, and how it's going to be affected by other infrastructure that you've pursued as well. Such as the alternative points of access or through options between East Montpelier Road and, say, East State Street, for example. This really, and to mirror John, this is my dead horse, is, a lot of these details are going to come in the implementation process. So no, the town doesn't have all the details about the traffic impacts, but they do know that they will be limited by the capacity of the intersection at Country Club Road. And so planning to expand their capacity has to be part of the story going forward. And that's the kind of, again, thing that should arise out of the master planning process. Yes, they're talking about building a bunch of new houses. They're also talking about building a bunch of new roads. So I think we need to weigh both of those, give each of those strategies an equal weight when we're considering a municipal plan. Right, the regional burden. I think we need to address the regional burden. It's our responsibility to address the regional burden in the regional plan. John called on our rural land use, which is a really weakly described land use that on one hand says generally rural and residential is suitable for development when it is done in the traditional hamlet style or something to that degree. So it kind of flips and flops both ways. It's really important that as we craft our new plan, that we say what we mean, and we mean what I say, so we don't get into these vague interpretations of compatibility. It makes it really hard for staff to look at it. In this case, we looked at some of the initial concepts and said, okay, this is more or less a dense cluster of housing. It appears to be compatible with the goals of our plan. I think I've gotten most of commissioner comments in there, but I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Christian. Zoe, you're up next.
Thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Mike Miller's response to what I brought up. Again, I know the city council has passed this. I know a lot of people have looked at this, but no one has presented me with any information on why more affordable housing should be built. There's a lot of gray area when people use the term affordable housing subjectively. We don't need quote unquote more affordable housing. We need affordable housing in the legislative sense, which is the only sense that we should actually be discussing affordable housing when we say affordable housing, because otherwise it's misleading. Alongside that, there was discussion of how transportation and public transportation had been thoughtfully considered. However, I don't think that we can't do much to help. I don't know, maybe we could, but for example, GMTA has seen declining funding steadily over the last few years. We're not looking at better public transportation now than we were last year or the year before. I don't think that it's safe to make an assumption that it will be better very soon. And I think I would press back against that, because I don't think that's true. And I think that I would urge everyone again to stop using the word affordable in conjunction with housing unless we're talking about the legislative definition of affordable housing. Because according to data, that's what we really need. We don't need more housing for the top percentage income earners. We have more than enough of that right now. Have we talked about transitional housing for Vermonters experiencing homelessness? Vermont has the second highest rate of homelessness in the country right now. And I know that this is a problem that's not addressed either with this new development in Country Club Road. I just want to keep on pushing back as what I'm hearing as data that has not been considered thoroughly by the city council or the planning commission, because I think that there's a much broader scope of information that hasn't been taken into consideration, because frankly, most people here haven't experienced living as a very low income person. And it's starting to get frustrating how the term affordable is being thrown around.
Thank you, Zoe. Aaron, I'm going to ask that you hold your comments until we finish the board discussion. There will be further comment period here in a couple of minutes, or a few minutes, or a while. Next up, John.
Yeah, and Peter, the chair asked other commissioners to chime in. I would like to see the same. Please do. I think the problem is we keep conflating what's in the plan with things that are going on outside the plan. The commissioners tonight are voting on the language in the plan. The plan does not discuss, for the purposes of the Old Elks Club property, the Country Club Road development area, the plan does not discuss putting alternative routes or exits and entrances to that very large development, which, by the way, is specifically described in terms of hundreds of units. It's not some vague aspirational thing. You know, this is the problem I said earlier, what I see as the conflict here. And I think Montpelier is doing the right thing by buying the property and considering this. I think anywhere else, I'd be here working side by side with Mike Miller supporting this, frankly. It's generally the right area. The problem is where it dumps the traffic for me. Talk to people up on College Street where that other road is speculated to possibly, Christian mentioned it, allow traffic to exit and enter this project area. The people up on College Street don't want that coming through and heading down congested, narrow East State Street. They already have people cutting through College Street. They are freaked about that. That's the reason it's not in the plan. It was discussed. It was taken off the table. The folks who own Sabins Pasture, the Zorzi Asia farm property, I talked to them. They have their own plan. It's private property. They want to put a senior citizen residential housing unit, a project in there, and that putting a thoroughfare through the middle of it gets in the way of their plans. So it's been taken off the table for that reason. Something that hasn't been discussed is, as I've already stated, that intersection about the roundabout, while improved since there was a traffic light there, is now backing up in 3 directions, back toward Montpelier, down past Tractor Supply to the car dealerships, and all the way past the bridge into Berlin during the rush hour periods. You have to get permission from the drivers that are lined up to get off Gallison Hill onto the road, as Zoe said, if you have to go to the hospital, God forbid. So we are then going to be approving a plan that is very specific. It's not like we're going to put some housing up there. If the plan said we're going to consider putting a housing development on the CCR property, if the traffic from it will not create regional conflicts, I'd be voting for this. It's not what it says. It says this is what we're doing. And it says this is the entrance, this is the exit. There's no formal plan to route traffic the other way. And it will be yet another cut through. So I'm coming off Gallison Hill. I want to head toward Montpelier. Oh, it's jammed up at the roundabout. I'm going up through this new development. It's a town road. I can use it. Now you got that a new cut through going through College Street, where frankly, the wealthiest people, some of the wealthiest people, many attorneys, live in Montpelier. It ain't happening, folks. It would have happened already. It's not in the plan. So again, all this speculation, this might happen. What's in the plan is what we are voting on. What's in the plan says we're dumping this traffic, at least right now, 100 children's families worth of vehicle traffic starting, I think, September or this August from a daycare that's already opening up there. That may be more or less what the Elks Club had. I don't think so. I think it's an increase. Not evaluated. Already not evaluated. Add to that housing. There will need to be a traffic light. Can you have a traffic light in such close proximity to yet another intersection? Is that prudent? Is that in the region's interest? If they were to have that other exit and people were to cut through that development on that new town road that is being speculated to, which will not happen, that's a town road. It goes into Montpelier. I don't care. That's not a regional issue. That's a city of Montpelier issue. And that's for them to deal with that. But this is a regional, this is an important piece of regional transportation infrastructure. Very important. It's Route 2. It goes all the way to Maine. It goes all the way into Canada. I just got back from Cape Breton. This is a major piece of national infrastructure that's already seeing congestion problems. And we have basically a project that's already been conceptualized in terms of size. We don't even need a traffic. So we already know from the 144 units, it's going to probably need a traffic light. Anything above that, which is what is proposed in the plan, 400 to 500 units, I believe it said, is only going to be 4 times that amount. Holy smokes. If this was just conceptual, I'd vote for this plan tonight. The problem is, folks, this project will be over 75 units. It'll go to the new environmental board. They're calling it the Land Use Review Board. It's going to go through Act 250. You know what's going to happen? Christian Meyer is going to, or his staff, are going to go to that Act 250 hearing and say it's consistent with our plan. The 500 units is consistent with our plan. We voted to approve it on August 21, 2025. Half the staff will be gone because that's how it is. Institutional memory will be gone. Maybe Christian will be gone. And yeah, and I'm a commissioner there, Brian. Okay. And I've got the floor. Sorry. Half the staff, I know I'm annoying you.
I'm raising my hand, John. This has nothing to do with you. I'm raising my hand. Is that okay? Do I have your permission?
Okay, I thought you were pointing out I'm talking too long.
No. This discussion will go on as long as it needs to go on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think we need to stop conflating things that happened at the city council. The city council removing it from their plans is not what's in front of us. It didn't miraculously vanish from the written plan that's before us. It's in the plan. It's very specific. And there's good legal argument to be made that there's an estoppel claim. And if I were an attorney working for the city of Montpelier, maybe the opponents might pull out this video if it still exists, but I would say there's an estoppel issue here, that the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission said this development of 400 to 500 units is okay. And if we were to come out and oppose it under Criterion 10 and Act 250, there would be a challenge and we could be sued in court. Absolutely. So this is a very, very important decision, folks. And if you have any concerns about what may happen to that intersection with this development, I'd urge you to reconsider your yes vote tonight and not to vote yes. If Montpelier wants to go and make this vague, that this is a possible area for development, by the way, they spent $2 million on it, they own it. So they have a huge vested interest to making this happen. And they got to deal with all their internal politics. Well, people on College Street aren't going to want the traffic. Will it make it up to Town Hill? Whose property you have to get condemned for that? It's a heavy lift to do it any way other than to dump it right at that intersection by the roundabout for Montpelier. And we are setting ourselves up for legal jeopardy. And as I said to Christian and the chair, Peter Carby, if Mike Miller wants to sue the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission down the road after we approve this plan tonight for estoppel, I will be his prime witness, free of charge, to say that's exactly what we did. We approved this plan with the full knowledge of what is proposed in it. Please vote no until this plan is amended.
Thank you, John. Bob from Berlin?
Yeah, I'm trying to choose my words carefully. I'm anxious that we move forward. We've heard from the same people repeatedly. These people have already made up their mind, and they keep throwing out assertions. I'm not going to stay here all night. I think that we need to move this thing ahead. With all due respect to the chair's opinion that we need to hear everything that needs to be said. I'd like to call this vote.
We don't have a motion on the floor at this point, Bob, but I will see what I can do to move it along. Thank you. Royal?
Thank you. And I would echo what Bob just said. We can take public input in a meeting. We can host an ongoing debate on various aspects of issues that may or may never see the light of day. As the chair of my town's planning commission, I know my town plan is an aspirational document. We have a lot of development on the table. And I would not be interested in having the central commission specify infinitely small details on what we could or couldn't do because we have an aspirational document that we're looking forward to for development of our town. And that's what I'm hearing tonight. From my perspective, our role here as the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission is simple. Is this plan that Montpelier has presented conformant with what our role is to do to make sure that it is conformant with the regional plan? They've asked us to do that. We have a committee that has done that. We've gone to appropriate public hearing. There's been a tremendous amount of public input at various levels. And so, again, I would echo what Bob said. I want to see this process move forward.
Thank you, Roy. Are there other board members that wish to speak?
have a question.
Somebody behind me.
Paula.
Oh, hi, Paula.
My question is, so I'm hearing really strong positions on two sides. And I feel a little, I'm at a loss here, like, would a no vote, oh, I think you had your hand up before me.
Your board member, please.
Oh, okay.
That's why.
If would a no, what, if there's a no vote, if no carries, does it go with a are there specific recommendations that the board would need to make at this meeting tonight, or how does it work procedurally? Or does it go back to, maybe Nikki and the municipal plan committee, review committee? I mean, where does the review committee come into this in that respect?
Think Christian.
I'm gonna call Robert first because he is a commissioner, and then Christian, and also staff here. Robert?
Yes, you said we don't have the motion on the floor. I'd like to make the motion to approve the city of Montpelier plan.
I'll second it.
Who was the second?
Yeah, this is, I think, out of order.
Yeah, we did. No, we can get the motion on the floor, but we do have, still have staff members to reply, and we also do have public comment of 2 minutes per from the public.
And Peter, could I?
Yes.
I want, if someone out there could answer the question I asked, I would really like that.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Christian for that.
Yeah, very quickly, if we do not approve the plan, if the vote to approve were to fail, we would have to supply a reason to the municipality why it did not fail, or why it did not pass, sorry.
So, sorry, follow up, Peter, may I?
Yes.
Who is we in that respect? Is we the board? Is we Nikki? Is we you?
We would be the board in that case. Suppose the dissenters would have to play a big role in crafting that.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yep. Brian, oh, no, Bill Ahrens.
Yeah, to me, John Brabant's take on this is the most convincing thing that I have against voting for this. Everything else I see is, more for it. I don't mean to put him on the line, but I think unless somebody else has a better approach, I'd just like to hear from Christian how he sees this, how he would address this major, for John anyway, and maybe for me, this major problem of what's going to happen at the end of that road with the traffic. Thanks.
What would I see happening there? I believe John brought that up under compatibility. So we have to demonstrate how the traffic impacts of development along the two-phase project of Sabins Pasture and Country Club Road would negatively impact one of our policies. We do have a policy around maintaining a good level of service on all of our roads. I think we'd have to then demonstrate that this was would not allow us, what did I say, the definition of compatible was, it's very specific.
Basically doesn't get in the way of anybody else's plan too.
Yeah, that's right. That this does not allow, okay, here it is. Will not significantly reduce the desired effect of the implementation of the other plan. So we'd have to show that this would significantly reduce the desired effect of the CVRPC, of the implementation of the CVRPC municipal plan as currently written.
So,
Christian, to answer your question and frame what I said, maybe reframe for clarity. I was talking about, it's a legal term, an estoppel claim. It's because that plan is very specific. The Montpelier CCR Country Club Road project plan is so specific. It talks about a very large number of housing units, which everybody who looks at it knows is going to result in a large number of cars. It's already been spoken to, even by Montpelier tonight, with 144. It talks about having 4 times, upwards of 4 times that number coming out of there, not including the daycare and the recreation center, which is even more. It is very specific as to the current plan, not what might happen in the future. What that plan says is it's going to use one road. And we are approving that, saying it's consistent to use that one road for all that development, and it's not a conflict with our regional plan expectations. I actually spoke with Peter Gregory, who's been doing this for 30+ years at the Two Rivers at Alquiche, and he said that should be denied. And he said, it's not only, I said, I feel it's what I should do. And he said, it's not only what you should do, it's your obligation. It's your regional planning commission's obligation to steer this kind of development in a fashion so it doesn't negatively impact infrastructure, big, large infrastructural investments such as this irreparably. And that's what it's going to do. We all know what it's going to do, and we're pretending we don't. And there will be an estoppel claim, and Montpelier will win it because they are very specific in there. And it's very clear. It's been made very clear to us what they are planning to do in the plan. And we are voting on the plan, not what the city council did, what they might do next year, what's in that plan. If the plan said we're proposing this to be a growth center with no specifics as to the entrance and exit to that, I'd be voting for this. It's the specificity that's the issue and where it's going to dump that traffic. And we're going to be on the hook, folks. You can ignore me at your peril. I will say I told you so, and I will be a witness for Montpelier.
Can I, looks like Mike.
Thank you, John. Yes, Bill, go ahead. You were.
Yeah, I just, Mike also has his hand up, and I kind of would ask him the same question that I asked Christian. How is this John's specific complaints being addressed?
Yeah, so I appreciate the opportunity to reply. The issue at hand is, it's being portrayed in a certain light, and when you actually look at the document, so let's look at the document, the Country Club Road Strategy, LU1. We're talking about land use. This site could accommodate at least 300 housing units. We're not saying we are building 300 housing units. We're saying it could accommodate at least 300 housing units, although the exact number will be determined by the development process. The housing will likely be built by for-profit and nonprofit entities over the coming years, but it will require the city to extend utilities such as sewer and water and to build out the road system. And then within the transportation section, again, under the Country Club Road, we're talking regarding transportation. This is about the Country Club Road actionable plan following through. Regarding transportation, this site offers an opportunity to provide significant improvements in Montpelier's connectivity. Today, nearly all vehicles are funneled through the downtown. The CCR and Sabins Pasture projects could allow a complete street that connects East Montpelier Road to Berry and College Street. In the future, connections could also be made to Town Hill, but no route has been identified at this time. So these are not definitive. We are building this and it is going in this location. What we are doing is putting out our aspiration, which is that we intend to develop this site and these are our goals. We're not hiding it from anybody. If we were here going and telling you we're only going to build 40 housing units there, and you guys are all like, there's no way you're only building 40. We're being open and upfront and saying this is what's going to happen here. This is not a high accident location. This is not a street that has any capacity issues. It already has turning lanes built in. We will study every project that goes up in there. They will have to go through the traffic study, but we won't be able to do a traffic study until we understand the full extent of the development. Is there not through roads? How much development? Is it senior housing? Is it regular housing? Because senior housing would dump out traffic, but at an off-peak time. If you're putting a lot of traffic in on an on-peak time, you have more of an issue. We could resolve this with a street light, a turn signal. We could also do this with a roundabout. We would analyze and study which ones are the most appropriate ways. So I just, I encourage the commissioners to support this plan. The document is aspirational. It is laying things out, what we're going to be looking at, how we're going to be looking at, what are the considerations. We purchased a 138-acre parcel and we're putting 100 of it into conservation. 100 of it is being turned into a park. We're using only the 30 for development, and 12 of that has been reserved for recreation. So we're working very responsibly, and most of this, as we said, are really beyond the regional approval process. That's really, these are questions that will be addressed when there's a tier 1A application that needs support of the board, or some other application, some other project needs support of the board, because we'll have the details at that time. And at this point, this is an aspirational document, and we need housing, and we should be working very hard to try to find ways of building housing. We can build this here, or we can build it somewhere else and have all that traffic down, build it in Barrytown and have it all drive through Barry City on its way through. The traffic is still going to be on the road. The advantage of putting it close, walkable, bikeable to Montpelier is that we have opportunities for public transit and walking, biking, and those are just the things. The plan is being characterized in a way that I would disagree with. I think, and I hope you guys would all take an opportunity just to look and make sure this is an aspirational document.
Thank you, Mike. I like that answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Royal?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your desire to have all opinions voiced and vetted thoroughly, and I believe you have performed that for this commission tonight. What I'm hearing is a lot of reiteration of issues, not a lot of new information. This is a special meeting. It is not a public hearing. There is a motion on the floor and a second, and I call the question.
I'm going to ask you to not call the question at this point, because according to the agenda, I do have next up after this discussion, further comment from the public for 2 minutes. And if you would allow me to get through that, and also Brian had comments to make from staff. So if you do that for me.
I would agree to that under one condition, that new information only be allowed.
Do what I can on that. Thank you, Royal. Thank you. Brian, I'm going to let you go, and then we'll go into public comment.
Sure. I just want to touch on two things really briefly. The first is that Alice brought up tier 3 designation under the future land use map. As a senior natural resources planner for the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission, I'm fairly skeptical that much, if any, of Montpelier will be designated as a tier 3. The tier 3 designation is to identify critical natural resource areas in the state. So that's my first point. My second point relates to John talking about an Act 250 process where CVRPC staff and or the director might be brought before the Act 250 board for review. I would say that's not necessarily a foregone conclusion, primarily because the city may choose to pursue either Tier 1B or Tier 1A designation under the future land use map, both of which carry some waivers for Tier 1B up to 75 housing units. Tier 1A turns the entire review process over to the city. So it's not a foregone conclusion that any development at the Country Club Road would necessarily go in front of the Act 250 board.
Thank you, Brian. I'm now going to open it up for public comment. This comment period will be 2 minutes per person, and I will go in the same order that I went prior. Thomas?
I decline.
Thomas declines. Steve?
Yeah, I will try to finish a couple of items. You heard Mike talk about a close, walkable, bikeable. The country club is none of those. I mean, it's bikeable. It's a very narrow season. It's several miles from town. People are not going to walk to town. No traffic study was conducted before a lease was signed by the city council for Turtle Island with up to 100 students and their parents dropping them off, and the staff and teachers coming and going. That would have triggered a traffic study. So you didn't believe everything you're hearing. In fact, you've been lied to by staff here. The areas where this is not compliant with the plan is traffic, the rural designation on the existing regional plan, and on prime ag soils. You haven't heard of prime ag soils at all, but there's a lot of prime ag soils up over there, and no effort made to discuss that 4-part analysis that's required by law before you can approve a plan. And that has not been done by staff, and it has not been done by the city planner. So that 4-part analysis requires identifying the inconsistency and consider reasonable alternatives, evaluate the benefits versus the detriments, and propose mitigation. That has not been done for traffic. It has not been done for ag soils. And the conflict with the rural designation, this plan could not be approved as is until after the regional plan is adopted next year, which changes the designation of that property to something other than rural. So if you're gonna be intellectually honest with yourselves and the law, and even abide by your oath that our counselor took before he claims that this complied with law, you need to.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
the time
your
is
time
up.
is up. Okay. Thank you. Ben Doyle,
Good, thanks.
no comments. Sean,
I have nothing else to add. Thanks.
nothing further. That leaves me with Aaron.
Thank you. I'll be
Aaron?
very brief. I just wanted to say very quickly that I've been on the Montpelier Planning Commission for 7 or 8 years now. And when I first came on the commission, the work to develop this plan was already underway. And I just wanted, for context, just understand that the commission grappled mightily with how to properly scope this plan and this document. We became pretty aware quickly throughout the process that we knew that this is a very fluid situation, especially with respect to housing, economic development, and transportation. And we deliberately scoped it in a way that would allow us to be flexible and allow for implementation plans to fill in significant gaps in the aspirations and goals that are laid out in the plan. And that's by design. And with that said, the Planning Commission, I think it behooves me to say to this commission, the Montpelier Planning Commission is committed to have continued discussions with stakeholders in potentially revisiting certain chapters of this plan, and to see if there are ways to improve it that are appropriate and consistent with sort of the aspirational tone of the plan. So That's all I had to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Robert, you made the original motion. We actually have three motions before us, or three decisions before us. One is for approval of the plan. The second is for confirmation of the planning process. And the third would be for the resolution, which I will read after we have done the other two. I'm assuming, Robert, your motion would be for approval of the plan?
That is correct. I believe that's what I said.
Okay, very good. And Royal, you had seconded that, I believe.
Dave Stapleton.
I was
Oh,
not the
Dave-
second.
Okay, Dave Stapleton had seconded that. So before this board tonight, we now have a motion before us for approval of the Montpelier City Plan 2025. How do you vote? Roll call?
You want to read out the different towns, so I can pick open.
Sure. Berry City,
Yes.
Berry Town. Not here. Berlin,
Aye.
Cabot,
Aye.
Callis,
No.
Duxbury.
Duxbury's in here. I'll just read them all.
Okay, East Montpelier,
No.
Facein, Marshfield, Middlesex,
Ron?
Is Ron still here?
Yes.
He's here,
still
but
there.
he's asleep.
Go back to.
We'll come back to
We'll
it.
come back to it.
Montpelier,
If we could vote last, that would be helpful, just to know whether or not
I-
we need to vote or if I can abstain.
I would almost think you should recuse yourself in this case.
No. He's entitled to vote.
According to
Okay.
the rules, I'm entitled to vote. I'm just trying to decide if I
Montpelier
don't
is
need to
entitled
vote, I won't.
Mike, you should vote. You're a commissioner.
We'll come back to you.
Moortown,
Aye.
Northfield,
Aye.
Orange,
Aye.
Plainfield,
I don't know. Come back to me, I don't.
Okay,
Roxbury,
not here.
not here, Waitsfield,
No,
Warren,
Not here.
Washington,
Washington votes aye.
Waterbury,
Aye.
Williamstown,
Williamstown votes no.
Woodbury,
Yes.
Worcester,
Bill?
Working on it. Aye.
Okay.
Middlesex, Ron? You're muted, Ron.
Yes.
Yes.
Paula,
Oh, Mitch, put his hand up. Is Mitch?
Mitch is an alternate.
Oh. I abstain.
You come.
Sampson.
And Montpelier.
Do we know if we need my vote or do we have enough on the count?
Do not have anything to count.
We do not have enough.
Then Montpelier votes aye.
Still don't think we have enough.
Still not enough, is it?
No.
No.
So,
What is the?
I got 12. How many did you get, Nancy?
I have not counted mine yet.
I have 12
Peter
for
has
one.
12.
I also got 12 and I believe the nays were 4.
Yeah.
And then one abstention.
abstention.
Yeah.
Correct, 1 abstention.
How many do you need?
13.
We need 13 for positive. The
No, we need
motion.
12. 12 times
Right.
2 is 24. We're only 23 towns.
And so therefore, we need,
Oh, you're right, we need 12, I'm sorry.
yes, we need 12. We have 12
So it
positive
passes.
votes. What?
Oh, saying it passes.
Yes, motion passes.
That, I get that 13 stuck in my head and it makes some
The
sense.
second motion I will accept is for confirmation of the planning process.
I'll make that motion.
Lee makes the motion.
I'll
Do I have
second.
a second? Didn't catch who it was.
I
Who seconded?
think I was first, but.
Okay,
doesn't
Bill
matter.
Arrow. That's fine.
Roll call then?
Yeah, because there will be negatives. So
Okay.
call the roll, please.
Berry City,
Aye.
Berry Town, not here, Berlin,
Aye.
Cabot,
Aye.
Callis,
Will John drop off?
John left.
Did we lose John?
John has dropped the call from the call.
No. Okay.
Duxbury. Not here, right? East Montpelier,
Zoe, she's also dropped the call.
so this drops. Facein, not here, Marshfield, not here, Middlesex,
Yes.
Montpelier,
Yes.
Moortown,
Yes.
Northfield,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Plainfield,
Abstain.
anybody from Roxbury, Waitsfield,
Abstain.
no one from Warren, Washington,
Washington votes aye.
Waterbury,
Aye.
Williamstown,
No.
Woodbury,
Yes.
and Worcester.
Aye.
12 yes. 1 no, 2 abstentions. Motion passes. I will now read the resolution that we will be sending out. Whereas Title 24 BSA Section 4350 requires that the regional planning commissions, after public notice, shall review the planning process of member municipalities and so shall conform when the municipality 1 is engaged in a continuing planning process that within a reasonable time shall result in a plan that is consistent with the goals contained in 24 BSA 4302. 2 is engaged in a process to implement its municipal plan consistent with the program for implementation required under 24 BSA 4382. And 3 is maintaining its efforts to provide local funds for municipal and regional planning purposes. Whereas, as part of this consultation process, a regional planning commission shall consider whether the municipality has adopted a plan. Whereas the regional planning commission shall review and approve plans of its member municipalities when approval is requested and warranted, and the commission shall approve a plan if it finds that the plan 1 is consistent with the goals established in 24 BSA 4302, 2 is compatible with its regional plan, 3 is compatible with approved plans of other municipalities in the region, and 4 contains all the elements contained in 24 BSA 4382A 1 through 12. Whereas the city of Montpelier prepared a municipal plan in accordance with 24 BSA 117, whereas the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission concluded that the Montpelier City Plan 2025 meets the requirements for approval. Now therefore be it resolved that the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission approves the Montpelier City Plan 2025 adopted July 9, 2025, and consulted with and confirms the planning process of the city of Montpelier. Under 24 BSA 4350, when an adopted municipal plan expires, its approval and confirmation of the municipality's planning process also expire. Recommendations made by the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission are attached and should be considered when developing the next municipal plan. A municipality has adopted a plan that has adopted a plan may define and regulate land development in any manner that the municipality establishes in its bylaws, provided those bylaws are in conformance with the plan and adopted for the purposes set forth in 24 BSA 4302. Adopted by the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission on August 21, 2025. I have a motion.
I'll make
I
a
have a
motion to
motion.
adopt the resolution.
Rob makes a motion to sign. Need a second? I have a second. Jane? Thank you. All those in favor will indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
There is a no vote. We will now call the roll.
Berry City,
Yes.
no Berry Town, Berlin,
Aye.
Cabot,
Aye.
John Brabant from Callis has left the call. No one from Duxbury, East Montpelier. Zoe has left the call. No one from Facein, no one from Marshfield, Middlesex,
Yes.
Montpelier,
Yes.
Moortown,
Yes.
Northfield,
Aye.
Orange,
Aye.
Plainfield,
Is that an abstention?
Yeah, thank you.
no one from Roxbury, Waitsfield. Alice Peel has left the call. No one from Warren, Washington,
Washington votes aye.
Waterbury,
Aye.
Williamstown,
No.
Woodbury,
Yes.
Worcester.
Aye.
12-1-1. 12-1-1, we have a positive vote, and now I'm signing. Thank you all very much. I'm sorry the meeting took so long, but I'm glad we had the opportunity to air this out as well we should. Now we'll accept a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
I expected 30 people to yell. Yes, Steve Stapleton second. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you all for coming out.
Good night, everybody.
Bye,
Good
ladies.
night.